Hello everyone, it's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Obiajulu Olabisi Ubo, and with me are the ladies. How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm grateful to God.
What's happening?
Yesterday we named our son Zaid, and my sister named him Oshoke. Although they are Yorubas, both parents, but I had the privilege of being asked to name. But I declined, and my younger sister was like, no, now.
No, you have to.
Maybe an second name. But I was just so pleased, just so happy and grateful. I chose to mentor Miriam some years back, I think 2014. And I kept doubting, how would we get it through? I'm not a life coach. I don't have any training. I only know from my experiences. She's such a sweet girl. She's touched my lives, my own life and the lives of my children. And I see what I do to her as very minimal. I'm just grateful. My son was, feeling like the big brother.
The pregnancy that they saw from beginning to the end, I don't understand. It's a big brother. What does Oshoke mean? I have one of my close friends. Oshoke.
How do you say it in Yoruba? So, God's treasured, that kind. So some people will say God's gift. Some, and I'm just grateful. Seeing how she's matured.
That's what we call Onye.
She's handling her businesses, she's handling home, she's so strong now. I'm just looking from inside her. I need to improve on this area of me and everything. So, and her family, her mom, wow. She had the resources around her, just didn't see it. So what I simply did was open her eyes.
The opportunities around. And that's what mentorship is about. So you actually did a lot.
It's not like a life coach to mentor someone.
You just need to live right, and then they would emulate and write.
I'm still not professional. Someone called me, and they need to see a therapist, and they decided it's me.
No.
I immediately put out
the
disclaimer that I have a therapist and a psychologist, clinical psychiatrist that I see.
Okay.
So I think I know they claim what
How are you doing?
We know our strengths.
CMO?
I'm good. I'm amazing. I'm grateful to God. I've always been a long-term, big perspective kind of person, but in recent times I realized maybe I should talk about it on the show, because people tend to pick on every minute thing, like that is what life is about. Oh, the person did not greet me. Oh, the person looked at me one kind. Did you not see the way the person looked at you? Talk, that person, there must be something.
Doesn't like
I'm like, you don't know what the person is going, like, you don't know what's on the person's mind. Just give it a different, give yourself an empowering story. Look at it from a broader perspective, because at every time you are personalizing every issue that happens, you might be reading the wrong meanings to life circumstances. And it is not empowering. It will make you feel like sometimes people suffer depression for weeks over something that did not happen. In your mind, she did not respond to my WhatsApp message. I looked at her, she did not greet me. And then you've concluded and you are brewing and stewing. Just live free. Like, life is not that hard. The person is your friend also. You can have a conversation.
Yes. Like you, if I notice you did not greet, I'll say, "Talk where you did not."
Like, if you cannot confront it, don't start thinking
what you don't control. But some people find it hard to have the conversation. I take my time to make observations. When I tell you something is wrong, I saw it.
You have seen it.
If I didn't see it, I would not. I always give myself, it could have been mistaken months to make it. I'm having that issue right now. I finally spoke up about something I've watched for over a year.
And the person feels that.
And the person decided to react. I was like, okay, maybe this friendship, I didn't calculate it well. Because I will not deal. I will just walk away.
Okay, I'm reading plenty assignments to do. Back to back, I have like 1,500 words in 2 different places to write this week. I'm submitting this weekend.
It's your turn now.
Like, Otisumi.
You cannot be.
But I put myself, my husband always says, one chance. You decided to go to one chance school. Your mates are finished school. At this old age, you're going to school.
It's never too late, but you'll be happy. You'll be happy about it when you're done.
I have a lot on my table, and it's scary. But I'll do what I do best. Put my head in it and just do it. All right,
you
ladies.
Opened Avalanche for me yesterday. BC sent a message yesterday. Somebody sent me a message after the show that, you're owing me money. BC,
was owing me this money?
Before I travel, do you know that I'm only plenty people before I travel? All of them were waiting. It's as if, as you mentioned it yesterday, everybody started asking me, this one, that one. Like everybody, they just said they were waiting. I'm owing you money too. You see? Yesterday I was just paying money,
but
paying money.
I removed my 500 naira. I'm collecting that 500 naira cash.
I beg.
Okay, let's take a short break. When we come back, we take the newspaper reviews. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. Let's start with the nation. Gunmen invade meeting venue, kill 2 monarchs. PDP governors weighed in battle for deputy chair South. Inflation remains big threat to business growth. EFCC probe. Total Nigeria retires top executive. 24 states shun financial autonomy for judiciary. Enters. Why protest is unnecessary by Sanwo-Olu. Troops kill 50 bandits in Kaduna. Oyo Assembly okays 18.7 billion load for Makinde. Who has what story in the nation?
So I have the autonomy, local government and judiciary autonomy. According to Senator Ita Enang, who is the head of the Reconciliatory Committee put together to solve this problem. The governors, out of all the 36 governors under the Governors Forum that signed, to allow, to pass into law judicial and legislative autonomy laws in their states and give this both arms of government their total freedom and independence from government. Only 12 of them have actualized this, and they are Sokoto, Bayelsa, Bauchi, Plateau, Enugu, Lagos, Imo, Jigawa, Kwara, Taraba, and Nasarawa and Kaduna states. All the other states have paid lip service to this. Wow. And they've continued to see the judiciary go on several strikes, and they seem to be unbothered or unwilling to carry it out. We know how extremely important it was. And when the president had, put this policy out that these 2 institutions should control their finances and, guarantee their independence, everybody applauded it in the papers. But till date, it remains unfulfilled in states. For the states that have passed it, I think we should see more improvements along the maintenance of courts and all those systems so that we have a completely free and very well-motivated.
And the judiciary is like the last resort of individuals. And it is a breakdown of the legislature. It is the breakdown of the judiciary that makes individuals take law into their hand, where they cannot trust the system to fight for them. So there was shooting in a town hall meeting of the Obas, like the Ezes in Imo State, particularly in Jaba community in Imo State. They had a town hall meeting. Gunmen came into the venue, shot sporadically, killed 2. The witnesses at the venue said it was 3 people that got killed, but the police confirmed that there was indeed an attack and that 2 people got killed. The 2 people that they confirmed were killed was the OB1 OB2 of Ukwodo, Ezeanayo Dure Boro, and another leader that got killed is Eze Samson Osunwa. The governor already said that they are on the matter, that Imo citizens should remain calm. They condemned the killing and said nobody should take law into their hand. They are investigating what is going on and that they will bring the people guilty to justice.
They said they were unknown gunmen, and also a lot of other Obas were beaten up, injured with arrows and all that. It's just so painful. So I have this story. There's the EFCC has launched a probe into alleged bribery and abuse of office involving a top official of Total and EP Nigeria Limited. And they said they've been investigating this case over 6 months now. But at the same time, because of the bribery allegation, the executive director was replaced or was told to resign. And so EFCC is saying that it's likely that they're trying to do a lot of cover-up because a lot of people are involved in that bribery that has been going on. So they have given the company a mandate to respond to certain issues that they needed. I wanted to quickly outline what they wanted. So they said, in the light of the foregoing, you are kindly requested to furnish the Commission with certified true copies of the following information to enable us progress on the investigation, date of employment, and details of emolument package from inception of service till date of his appointment on the board of Nigeria LNG Limited, any other information that could assist the investigation. So they want to, they said a few other people are also involved in this bribery. It had to do with moving money around. Up and down. So.
Let me take the story of inflation. So according to the former director of Lagos Chambers of Commerce, LCI Director General, he mentioned that there are many issues. High inflation remains the huge concern for many business because he's saying that apart from the fact that dollar isn't readily available, the difference between the prices in official rate and market rate, availability, fund injection, more importantly, he said flooding, increasing desertification, and insecurity challenges have caused food prices to skyrocket. From the price it comes out from the farm gate to the price that we buy it at the market, the huge difference between the two of them is really, really high. And the transportation costs has increased because of all the other accompanying issues. And that he expects that high energy costs for manufacturing businesses are complaining, high import duty. Like, it's a combination of many things that is making business tough for Nigerians who want to run business. And a lot is, they feel like we're not doing enough to address the issues on ground. So, all
right, let's move on to the Punch. New amendment empowers INEC to use electronic voting machine. Senate. Strike threat. NNPC to rehabilitate 16 roads with 621 billion. Defense headquarters seek nod to crush bandits with Tucano jets. Laments U.S. condition. Air Rufai hails troops. 50 bandits killed in air-ground operations. Poultry farmers groan as soybean price jumps by 300%. I hope you have this topic. Police occupy Lekki Tollgate. Others activists set for protest. Police threaten to punish inspector for voting APC Congress. 2 monarchs killed. Others unconscious in Imo stakeholders meeting attack. We've taken that story. Tonto Diki's ex-lover arrested for threatening public peace. Escorts detained. DIG. PCN decries exodus of Nigerian pharmacists to Canada. Collapsed building kills Lagos residents, 15 rescued, structure pulled down. Who has what story here?
So I have the poultry farmers grown. So according to the Director General of the Poultry Association of Nigeria, Onalo Akpa, he said that the cost of soybeans and maize grew over 300% and 170% respectively. So soybeans 300% and maize 170%. Of course, this has affected mostly those who are running small-scale farms. Those farms have had to close shop. Most of them cannot deal with it. This is because the major ingredient in making poultry feed is imported. And of course, it's now affected by Forex. And so because of that exchange rate, a lot of farmers cannot do it. Said now the cost of eggs and chicken in the market is as a result of this. Of course, you know, it will be transferring to the last consumer eventually. And, you know, they're all complaining about how much Nigeria needs in metric tons and what government needs to do. We've always talked about this.
Like I took the story last week, I took it upper week, but the issues, I feel that the Minister of Agriculture needs to specifically address what is he doing to reduce the challenges being faced within this sector, especially because we have the capacity to produce all the maize we need. We have land. So what exactly is being done? Specific, not the one that we just hear.
But they're not trying to stop importation.
They can't stop importation. We need it. We do
not have enough.
Yes, we need it. We're not producing enough.
We're not producing enough. So,
but if we keep importing, how do we now grow to a level where we can produce?
Let's even start from our research. What are our universities doing to respond to this hardship?
Yes,
which
specifically.
Which somebody
writing?
Because, you know, we're not in, all of them are sitting in National Assembly and Aso Rock and just doing government.
And then the town is in town, the gown is in gown.
You know, the hardship, how are we responding to it? What are we producing? How are we going to say, okay, we're giving you this as a
expanse of land for free,
you know, for free.
Actually, we're just talking, it came to my head that if we have research giving options, or maybe we don't need to eat maize. Since we don't have maize, what do we have locally that we have abundant that we can use to replace the maize?
There was cassava bread in response to flour scarcity.
So,
okay, hold on, please. Let's take a short break. When we come back, the newspaper reviews continue. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us.
So I was going to take the story. The IMF on Tuesday mentioned that due to the COVID-19 crisis in Nigeria, about 20% more people are now undernourished. They said 264 people in 2020 in sub-Saharan African countries have moved into being undernourished. They said that there's a substantial economic and social progression over the past 2 decades. Our region, that's Nigeria and the sub-Saharan Africa, is facing difficult challenges and were vulnerable to climate change, which buttresses what the LCCI former Director General mentioned, that we're having increasing, we're losing our forest at a higher rate. The climate change is affecting us, and it's going to affect the cost of produce. So the other things that we can deal with, like insecurity, let's deal with those ones because we cannot deal with the climate change challenges that we're facing. Desertification.
Yeah, so I have the Defense Headquarters story. They are saying that one of the reasons that they have not used the Tucano jets to fight insurgency is the fact that there are human rights regulations regarding the aircraft. That's one. And so for the fact that the bandits have not been proscribed as terrorist groups, they cannot deploy Tucano jets to fight them. You know, I took a story yesterday that they had taken possession of the 12 Tucano jets, and they are ready. U.S. is going to be in full support. And I think a few weeks back, the Senate had, you know, appealed to the president to proscribe this group. That's the only way they can fight it. So now they are saying that they can't move, they can't do anything. It's not in their hands anymore. The government needs to proscribe these people as terrorist groups so that they can use the Tucano jets that they brought from the U.S. to fight these people. They can
then use the much talked about and awaited Tucano jets that we have been waiting to bring miracle to.
So simply, it's a policy. It sits at the table of the president now to prescribe them. What does it take to call somebody a terrorist?
Exactly.
How many people do they need to kill? How many more people do they need to kill?
What did it take to proscribe those?
The ones they have proscribed. Okay, so good news a bit. Let's try and take a few good news.
Go ahead.
The INEC, the new policy that is being, the amendments being made to the Electoral Act will allow INEC whenever INEC feels they are ready. So that's the new clause that was included in Section 43(2), that this new subsection says that they will INEC shall provide suitable boxes, electronic voting machines, or other voting devices for conduct of elections. It will allow INEC to do this without approaching the National Assembly to introduce electronic voting as part of materials they will use for elections. I think this is a win. We're hoping that it gets passed all through. This was mentioned by by a member of the Conference Committee on Electoral Act, Senator Ajibola Bashiru. People are already applauding this, so we're waiting for the president to assent to it. Though it's not like it will take effect immediately, because there are some areas INEC already said they will be able to implement electronic voting, but without having to go and meet the National Assembly, when they feel they can, the independents would allow them to, and I think it's important we mention it.
Let's move on to the Daily Sun. Tension in Southeast over Kanu's trial tomorrow. Masab warns federal government, flays heavy military presence in region. Lagos, Osun police read riot act over planned protest. Delta to pay 102 million compensation to victims. 1 dead, 2 rescued from collapsed building in Ikorodu. Nigerian youths have a right to demand better futures, Sanwo-Olu. Outrage over Sokoto Market massacre. Anambra, Abdulsalami Peace Committee calls for peaceful polls. Nigerians spent 54 trillion on household consumption in 6 months, MBS. 2023, Jega predicts doom for APC and PDP. Which stories do we have in this?
Nigerian 54.84 trillion spending. So according to the MBS, amidst inflation, Nigerian homes have spent over 54 trillion naira for what we call home expenses, feeding allowances, household final costs in the first half of 2021, compared to the first half of 2020 that was 48.2 trillion naira. What we've spent so far is this, and this is according to them in their recent expenditure, income and gross domestic products reports released for this year. This is a true attestation to how things are presently. According to the report, if you take the entire length of it, they have figures for the constant growth in inflation across the country. These are institutions established to inform government, give data to government to advise on policies that will either bring ease, change of policies and all of those things. So this report is not something we should just read off the papers and then we'll just take it and we'll just move on.
It's something they should study.
Government should study and then improve lives.
The governor was speaking yesterday at an event organized called Rebuilding for Greatness, Peaceful Conflict Resolution. It was a symposium organized by a non-governmental organization, uniformed organization, about 1,500 youths. And the governor of Lagos State mentioned that Nigerian youths have a right to demand a better life and future. He added that the demands are based on the heightened inability of the average Nigerian youth to live and prosper because of the existing socio-economical challenges that we are facing. However, he said he noticed that this time last year, there was major protests going on across the nation, the like that have never been seen since 1993. And that while the movement was huge, of course, the layout of that and the violence that took place, so he was appealing that we must find peaceful ways to engage, which is the theme of the event, and conflict resolution should be a peaceful means. And he was saying that he was applauding the fact that Lagos State was able to rise above the challenges that was brought on by COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the resulting violence that took place after the protest. You know,
so the movement of for the actualization of sovereign state of Biafra, that's MASOB, are warning the federal government not to fail to produce the leader of IPOB tomorrow. He's going to be having his court hearing tomorrow. And one of the things they said is if he doesn't come, if he's not produced in court, it will seem like he had died in DSS custody. So they want to see him. They want all the human rights to be, adhered to. They want the government to follow the rule of law in this particular case. And they are in full support with the sit at home, which is the civil disobedience that IPOB had already instituted for every day Nnamdi Kanu is going to be appearing in court. So right now, there's a lot of military presence in the southeast, which is also okay because it will help to enforce the sit at home. A lot of people want to stay indoors, and they're going to be carrying this out, and they're hoping that the federal government will finally produce him to
I remember taking the story on Monday. Ohaneze Indigbo already mentioned that it's not a demand, but they feel that there's so much tension to be important if they just allow Nnamdi Kanu to
appear in court. So let's move on to the Vanguard. Trial. Expert legal fireworks. Kanu's lawyer tells federal government. NSAS tension as youths insist on anniversary protest. Sokoto bloodbath, send more troops, Tambuwal, Sultan begs federal government. Mautu clash. Lagos State government threatens to suspend NURTW, RTEAN from Oshodi Apapa Expressway. Unknown gunmen kill 2 monarchs in Imo. Why Nigerian universities are not among world's best, NUC. EFCC probes IOC director over alleged bribery. What do we have in the Vanguard?
I wish I had read that NUC. So quickly, the Sokoto State Governor and the Sultan of Sokoto played host to Chief of Army Staff following the killing of 40 persons at Goronya Market in Sokoto on Sunday. They are all, they along with the Northern Youth Assembly of Nigeria and every voice in the North that matters are calling for doubling of troops in that area, asking them to, to deploy more troops to that area to curb the influx of bandits being kicked out of Zamfara, running into Sokoto and continuing the attacks in the area.
So let me take the NUC story. So the Executive Secretary of the National University Commission, Professor Abubakar Rashid, lamented why no Nigerian university is at the top, ranked among the best in the world. He said lack of funding. He said this because he was receiving Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, that's SANU, who came to visit him, and they were lamenting the fact that even the teaching, the ASU and the teaching jobs are being taken over, teaching staffs are taking over non-teaching jobs, heading committees within the school. There are many bickering back and forth. I feel that the university is too important, the educational system of Nigeria is too important for us to say it is because of lack of funding. I feel that the solution...
Part of the issue.
The solution, the universities must come up with creative solutions. And I remember, we can always go back to University of Lagos. There was a short time where there was a bit of allowance for the autonomy for the VC to make decisions, and they fought for it. So if Lagos State was able to fight for the ability to create local governments, create IGR, and they made it work for their own state, and Unilag was able to fight. So universities have VCs. These VCs are supposed to be like the pinnacle of you have knowledge. Then you should find creative ways to say that let's protest, and I'm not asking you for money. there are ways we in this university can generate money.
But I also worry because they collect they generate internal revenue. So
the money
I'm always asking, where do they put those money?
Unilag that you made the example of is a federal university. And recently when their pro-chancellor raised issues of corruption within the school as against the VC, the way it was settled for me is not definite.
Appropriate.
So the Lagos State Traffic Management owner, Papa Gridlock, the chairperson, who is the special advisor to the governor, has read the riot out to the National Union of Road Transport Workers and the Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria. He had a meeting to resolve the fracas that happened the week before in Ikeja and warned the two of them that if they cannot comport themselves within the law, they stand a chance of being, banned completely.
Sent away
from that road.
Let's quickly move on to our last paper for today, the Nigerian Tribune. A gunman killed 2 during invasion of traditional rulers meeting in Imo. We've taken that. Special reports, federal government loses revenue, importers groan as $3.1 billion e-customs project suffers setback. Police on alert, warn against street protests. Bandits kill 43 in Sokoto market attack, Tambuwal. Political elites deliberately creating fault lines with ethnic, religious, communal identities. 15 rescued, 1 killed as 2-story building collapses in Ikorodu. What do we have in the Tribune? Okay, so the former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, which is INEC, was saying that the political class is part of the issues we have in our political parties, and they are trying as much as possible and deliberate about using ethnicity, religiosity, to create different identities instead of working together as the same citizens and ensuring that we have a national identity. And we still have issues of godfatherism. Yeah. They are using money. As a matter of fact, that some governors are using state funds to push the people that they want in those political settings. And we need to rise above this. The young people need to stand up and, fight for the rule of law and rise above this so that we can make a headway when it comes to our political
I'm really tired of newspaper accusations, press release accusation, interview accusation. If you have information that these things are happening, then...
Call names?
Maybe no, maybe whistleblow. Because you might not want them to identify you, but we have a whistleblowing system where you can anonymously release this information to EFCC, giving the details you have. But when you just make accusations like this just makes people feel sad. Like, you mean they're abusing power, but
what do we do from here?
There's nothing I can do. I don't have the details. But if you do...
Thank you so much, ladies. That's all we can take on the newspaper reviews. When we come back, we'll take our hot topic for today. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. It's exactly 1 year since the nationwide SARS protests. This morning, we will be looking back at the talking points surrounding the demonstrations and the impact ever since. Join the conversation and call us on 081-270-53687 or 091-390-76948. So, my question will be, it's been 1 year now. Where are we in the scheme of things?
I had to cross my leg and lean back.
Pose.
Yeah. There are no right ways to address the situation. What is the crux of SARS? What was the reason behind SARS? It was because a group of young people felt that enough is enough with police harassment. A group of young people were triggered by a video of a young man being shot who was, he wasn't carrying any, he was unarmed, and then he was shot. So that was like a trigger for the fact that, how long will you people just be killing us like this? Why are you harassing us? Why are you brutalizing us? And that's birthed a movement. And that movement, would I say a year after we have achieved, the people that led that protest have achieved their goals? According to what they're saying on social media, no. Especially at the back of what happened last week in Kwara State. It looked like, it was like
we hadn't even done anything.
Like nothing happened. So technically, the SARS as a unit has been disbanded. The police force, for me, have been hit, both left, right, center, during the protest, after the violence of the protest with many of the police stations burnt and many of their vehicles burnt, by many other issues of inefficient leadership of their own units. And then we still have the issue of brutalization going on in the nation. So why exactly did EndSARS happen? What exactly is the result of that protest? What are the gains from it? Because it was a unifying time for Nigerians. It was like never. I was too young in 1993 to know what happened in 1993. But for me, this was like, whoa, young people can come together. And it was, I could understand the pain. Even though I had personally not experienced the brutality of police, but I'd seen so many people who had. I've heard personal stories from people one-on-one. Social media carries live videos of such. So there was a reason for EndSARS. And I do not believe that we have effectively addressed the situations on ground. And we've heard plenty of people saying left, right, the governor said they've done, there's been 24 million naira, a lot of money has been paid as compensation for some people. But have we really addressed the foundation?
The crux of the issue.
I don't think so.
Okay, let me come to Nima. What are your thoughts?
It's sad that the reason for the protests originally were after a while unclear or beclouded by other reasons. We have a way of seeing things here. Something that's genuinely started because of what people have suffered, you know, just sort of got hijacked. It became cloud chasing for some. The intentions were not really pure, so people didn't know where to stand. And people who genuinely had grievances, who wanted things to change, were judged. And we didn't know where to focus. What we wanted was clear, and everybody wanted that change. Now, those who have been able to bring their issues before the Lagos State Panel of Judicial Inquiry on this, and some other states as well, have been awarded compensation for those who had records of such brutality from police officers. Also, on the other end, you see police officers shying away from speaking up, because at the time of the protest, we had police officers, some of them saying, we'll for join on now, because we need our welfare to improve. And me, I cannot sit here and tire from talking about police welfare. Because only when you provide can you then demand, certain standards. So if we've met their own needs, any police officer found erring anywhere will immediately be prosecuted, made to face the law, and made an example of to his colleagues. But when we have all of them looking for corners and ways to meet promotion, ways to meet their own provision in the line of duty, it is not in the mouth of anybody. Government and citizens alike to demand that, they should just scrap. Or we should scrap police stations across board. Because we saw people, I don't know how deep thinking, and I know this is very risky to say here. We saw people burning down police stations in protest. Those areas became high-rise crime areas. Now 3 traffic robbery on Badagry Expressway. Who do you want to blame when there are no police stations? Up north, up east in the east those days, we started seeing burning and attack of police stations. Now there's a level of criminality. There's nothing to use to curb it. We're bringing the army in. Little by little, we are taking away our fundamental human rights by creating problems that fundamental human rights cannot be put in front of. Just as the Tucano jet issue in the north. We have Boko Haram in the north, and every government kept saying we need more weapons. With the Tucano jet will come. It is Kenny-Con fighter jets. Only for it to land now. We just discover English now. No, this one I'm just saying English. Now that there's a policy of proscription that would now, that becomes a prerequisite to using what we need, claim to have needed to solve a problem. Every time there's a problem, you don't create another problem to solve that problem. You face that problem heads on. And the way that the protest started originally was on the right track. We had governors meeting with these people. All we needed to do was articulate the point and insist and say, we will picket these places. We will sit in front of these places till solution came. And then we had government now denying back and forth what happened on the 20th of October.
No, but Nima, there was an articulate 5 points later moved agenda. It was articulate that they wanted.
It later became 9.
Yes, and it was, you know, the issue with, there was a bit of lip service from the side of the government saying that they are done, that, oh, we've complied with this thing, but you didn't comply. It's like saying, oh, we need ammunition. The ammunition came in, but we cannot use it, and it lies with the government. So there's that little bit of distrust. And while I feel for the government, you know, like, it is extremely difficult to lead Nigeria now, because every Nigerian feels when anything you say, we look at it, we take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
So, to lead us now, you need to be above and beyond in communicating that you have our interest at heart. You need to say it, you need to do it. So the problem is, if the government come and think that, but I said I'm going to do it, why didn't you believe me? You are not talking to people, you're talking to somebody like, somebody that you have slapped several times. The person is brutalized. Once you do hand like this, even if they think you want to say I'm loyal, they would dodge because they feel you want to slap them. That's the way Nigerians feel. So there's a lot more that the government needs to do. And that conversation must happen, more importantly, today. I would love the president to speak and address these issues, because we cannot behave like it did not happen. It did.
Yeah.
And it's not a public spokesman stuff. It's not representative speaking. It's that the president should address Nigerians that, I know this thing happened last year. We did not like the way it ended up, but the issues you raised, we understand. Like the way the governor spoke. I read the governor's speech and I was like, okay, this governor is hearing us. That is the governor for Lagos State. I read his speech. So I think we should have that from the presidency as well.
Yeah. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll take phone calls and messages. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still talking about the NSAS protest. We're having like a memorial 1 year. And we know that for a state like Lagos, they have, you know, compensated about 72 people who were victims of the protest to the tune of over 410 million. And my question now will be, how do we begin to evaluate the successes and failures of the protest? Because what I find is we're not a reflective people in this part of the world. We just do things and we move on. How do we now take a step back and start putting, okay, did this work? Did this not work? What can be done better, in your view?
Okay, so me, I just want to see an improvement. And I think the government knows exactly what needs to be done. The people of government is people, and we are government as well. Nobody woke up from their beds and just hated the government in power. We saw the escalation, especially Abuja, the way the protest went. There was almost, like I said earlier, a denial of the facts of the things that happened. Police brutality is a reality across the country. And just last week, the commissioner of the IG has ordered the commissioner of police in Kogi State to investigate a 25,000 naira extortion that happened on the expressway there. We saw this police officer slap, assault clearly, in clear video, another Nigerian after NSAS. So do we want this to continue while we use one mouth to say A and use the other one to say... There has to be a deliberate action on this. This must stop. People must be able, just as it was in the time of cattle and farmers issue, be able to approach a court and say, I had someone's cattle walk into my farm and ate up my plants. This is what I projected to profit.
I need my compensation.
My compensation, and get that compensation without having to. So there must be system.
Let me pause you a minute. Let's take this call. Abimbola from Abeokuta. Good morning, Abimbola.
Good morning. I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Go ahead, you're live. We can hear you.
Good morning, first-time caller from Abeokuta.
Welcome to the show.
You're listening to the TV. Listen to us, please.
What I want to chip in something. I'm not saying the welfare of police is being well taken care of, but they are not the only uniform personnel. From this research, from my own research, I discovered that police salary, their take home is more than the civil defense, immigration, and fire service. If immigration, fire service, and civil defense can dress neatly, appear lovingly, I see no reason why they cannot manage what they have. I'm not saying the federal government is doing well to other agencies too, but there are ways you can manage. They are not the only one. They are not the only uniform personnel in the country that the federal government is not taking care of.
So what you're saying in essence is that they should be able to work with what they have, right?
I think.
Okay. So Tope.
So for me, like I mentioned earlier, we haven't really resolved the issues that were raised during the NSAS protest. We haven't dealt with the root causes of the issues. You don't quell the challenges. Nigerians are facing a lot of challenges, and people, when they are pushed to the wall and they have nowhere else to go, they would turn back and face you. Yeah. And so our government needs to realize that a lot more needs to be done. Nigerians are not unreasonable. It's about communicating with us, words and action, words and action. And we want peace. I mentioned it yesterday. If the police do well, it's not the police that would flourish. It is not the president that will flourish. It is me, you watching, every one of us would flourish when the system works well. So it is to nobody's advantage to say that we want them to fail. Rather, we must find ways to work together. And our leaders, the leadership should also understand that every protest is not an attack. Protest usually is a feedback, Protest is a way of letting you know that if a baby does not cry, people will not understand maybe the baby is hungry or the diaper needs changing. So sometimes the baby crying is a way to let the parents know that my diaper or hunger or rashes or something is wrong somewhere. Protests, in most cases, what is going on right now is not to oust the government, at least not from my own perspective and what most people online are saying. It is to let the president know that, in case you don't know, this and this and this is happening. But if our leaders see it as an attack, they wouldn't deal with the issue. They would just feel like political elements are trying to take us out of power. And then we don't achieve the better goal we all want. I want us to listen to each other. I also want the Nigerian youth to listen to the government, because you cannot do it by yourself. Whether I cry from today, I carry placard, gas is not going to go back to 3,500 naira. And it's not like petrol is going to go back to 90-something naira. So the problems will remain, except we find a way to listen to them and talk to them in the way they will understand. So it's a two-way street. Communication is not one way. We both need to ensure it is flowing from one side to the other.
Let's take this call from Oluwatobi from Egbeda. Good morning, Oluwatobi.
Good morning. I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you very much. The 20. But it has made the...
Oh, it's not. Yeah,
the audio
we lost him. Yeah. So I know also now that there are protests going on in Abuja and Lagos, but I want to understand the mindset of the protesters. What exactly are we hoping to achieve with this, this celebration of the 1 year? Are we going to now finally present those agendas we presented before? Are they going to present that? And, is there any way to follow up and see if there are some states who have even compensated, like we just heard about Lagos State now? What exactly is the reason behind, coming out to protest again today?
And because things haven't changed. There are although I do not expect things to change overnight. I think that it's a process. But then do we need a protest or a list of agendas for government to realize the things that are happening? Is this detachment once you're in power from the people that causes this kind of conversation? Somebody said that your child must cry as feedback. But my people in Auchi says that your child is not crying does not mean the child will not eat. It's not cry that will tell you your child is hungry.
Sometimes you by yourself as a good parent.
As a good parent should be able to know that lunch, I'm not eating, this child did not eat lunch, or did not eat breakfast, the child must eat dinner. You know? So these are things that when you're in power, you must, every morning, every time we get the MBS give us statistics. And you wonder whether they are planning with the statistics that they are getting, the data that they are getting. We heard this morning how cost of living continues to go up. And government just comes to explain that it's dollar, it's dollar, and we continue to do this. Nigeria as a country presently imports every agricultural produce to show up the inability to meet up some other agricultural produce. Is that country earning? It's not only the petrol that we sell. When we even get here, mine here, we set out and then buy back. Government has to be when exactly would this myriads of problems end? So people protesting, most people are not just protesting police brutality, they are protesting the life, protesting the hardship, you know, everything. And in response, you hear people jokingly say, jackpot. Then the government will come and tell you, don't jackpot, without giving you hope or something to look up to. You cannot drive your car freely. When a policeman stops you, you park, you attend to him, show him your document and drive off because you've met it. Because when he's, just a minute, when he stops you, he is trying to get something from you. You are afraid of him, and you don't have any place to resort to with that complaint and be sure of justice. Let's take this call from Samuel Adeyemo. Good morning, Samuel from Alagbado.
Good morning, ladies of your view.
Good morning, sir.
You see, it is very, very unfortunate that our government are not learning. Feelers that we are getting now is that even some NSA protesters have been arrested by the police in Lekki Tollgate. This is very, very unfortunate. You see, if government don't take this thing with the seriousness it deserves, what happened last year will be a child's play to what might happen again. Because these people are protesting peacefully. Let them protest. You ladies have rightly said, you know, when a baby is crying, it's a feedback. So let government get this feedback and work on it. And do not try to truncate the will of the people. It's very, very terrible when people are being arrested for protesting peacefully. This NSA, what really baffles me most is that the government keeps telling us nobody died in that last year protest. It is thought-provoking. It's as if government have turned Nigerians to fools. How can you tell us nobody died? Alhaji Lai Mohammed is telling us nobody died in the protest. It is very, very terrible. We cannot continue to live like this.
Thank you, Samuel, for your thoughts.
So I would like to say that addressing what Samuel said, you see, the thing is, I know that many of us we've glorified revolution, we've glorified all of these things, but we don't want any more bloodshed. The experience, nobody wants to live in war, you know, nobody wants to live in a place of crisis. It's just, yesterday I started thinking about the fact that tomorrow is today.
Tomorrow is today.
As in, like, yesterday I was thinking of today and thinking of 21st, and I was having palpitation, I was having panic attack. Nobody wants to be in that situation, and what we really need to understand, and I'm happy that even those that organized this protest, when they heard the body language of the government towards a protest, found other peaceful ways to achieve their goal, which is to say, we are still here, you have not answered us, and they said they would do a car procession, they mentioned it online, said over and over again, nobody should get down from the car. We must talk to ourselves as well, because we all must make this thing work. Because if it breaks down, it would affect all of us. Many of the rich, many of our political leaders, they can fly. They have extra passports, they have the money, they can jackpot. How many millions of people will jackpot? Even if I jackpot, will my parents be able to jackpot in time? Won't I have cousins? It is going to affect everybody. And then the nerve of people online thinking that the media is not saying the right thing. The media is not doing anything. See, you can sit on the phone you can sit behind your phone and say anything. It's my face on TV. I'm an only child. I know what happened to me last year, and many of us are pretending like we don't know what will happen and what is happening around. So somebody is able to say we are cutting costs, and it's not true. So people, you know what I was saying when we were starting the show? I said, have a big picture, create a story that empowers you. Somebody will sit at home and think that TVC is deliberately cutting calls or we're trying to censor things, which is not true. Do you understand? So we need to always think about look where the shoe from another person, where reason is from another person's perspective.
Look at it with another person's eye.
Don't just sit down and think that everybody is ganging against you. All of us are in the same boat.
Yes, so
there
was a part of the
hosting the
process.
hustle. Please let me hold you on that. We'll take a short break. When we come back, the conversation continues. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So still on the NSAS topic, I remember that there were panels that were set up, to probe what happened during the protest. And a lot of stories were coming out, a lot of people being indicted. But so far, I don't know where that has gotten to. I don't know where that has ended. And my question will now be, where do we go from here? How do we intend to proceed from here?
I'm of the opinion that going forward, you see, anyone who feels like my voice is not going to be heard, whatever I say is not going to matter, they will take law into their hand. So we need to strengthen the internal system within the police that corrects within them. Because if you refuse to correct yourself, people outside will come and tell you, this is how you should correct, this is how you should. So we should strengthen within the police to correct itself. I also feel that the common man sees the judiciary as their resort, as their hope, as where they will get justice from. And we need to strengthen the judiciary. As long as we don't do those two, if I feel like, you see, we saw videos, though, we saw videos. If we did not have videos, all of these things would be like, hey, they said, she said, that said. Everyone that got compensated had serious, they went evidence. They had still evidence to show that they were indeed brutalized by the police. They had suffered in the hands of SARS. It moved me to tears when I read some stories of how people were arrested and detained for a long time. Some lost their lives. Some were searching for dead bodies.
Pregnancy.
So there are many people that have been aggrieved. And until justice is served, the nation would, the ground will heave. So for me, we need to bring more justice to everyone who is aggrieved. And it goes both ways, because we know there were lots of police. And sometimes when I say this, people would come for me. That a lot of policemen lost their lives during this thing.
Yes.
A lot of them. There were videos there were videos that I just felt like, how can a human being do this? The same way I feel like, why would a human being slap another person because you want to collect money? It's wrong. But same way someone with anger would see a police officer and beat up the police officer. What are you trying to achieve? That man is a married man with children, with family. He went to work. He's being traumatized by the same country you are traumatized by. All of us are facing the same thing.
Well, facing the same hunger. Let me take this call, then I'll come to Nima. Oluwatobi from Egbeda. Good morning, Oluwatobi.
Good morning. Firstly, I just want to say this. I think that protest of last year already made two things clear to Nigerians. Number one, we have no democracy. The government does not care about us. We don't care about the citizens' lives. What have we gotten after 1 year? The camping here and there. Even the lives of terrorists are even more valuable than the lives of our citizens. So I think, secondly, these are served as an eye-opener to every Nigerian, that both the APC and the PDP, they have nothing to offer us. Absolutely nothing to offer this government. I think it's time for us to just sit down, sit back, strategize before 2023, that we need to just kick them out and bring in a new party, new candidates with fresh ideas. I will not be afraid to prove anyone that is provable, because the party members may be involved or anything. I think that when this protest already found that Nigerians, if we are united, our voice can be heard. And since our voice can be heard, so if we are united in our vote, we can do what is right with our vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Oluwatobi.
So, for me, we must be focus-driven. We must be able to focus on what the issues are and how when we solve one, we'll solve the others. During the protest, I saw a lot of people misunderstand the protest and went for individuals. That's why Tokwe could talk about the police officers killed. We wanted a problem of police brutality solved by killing police officers, by creating, apathy to the job, when that job was created to solve a problem too eventually. So I got caught the day before the fire happened here on my way home. I made it against all odds. I saw the bonfires on the road, and I was able to, because we paid. You get recognized, attacked, you pay your way. I went into Ilasa, got lost, bad roads. I finally busted out, and I made it to Abuleado. At the entrance of my community like this, a person was like, madam, hope you did not get caught in this. Oh, so sorry, you can go. And another person said, she cannot go, say. And that was how they attacked. I parked my car for them and trekked home. It was that bad. He was drinking, smoking, and that person is protesting an issue. We can't continue to deceive ourselves. He was high, drinking and smoking, taking time, and he was saying she cannot go. She have job now. She's working somewhere now. She's this and that. And she's so. And that person was like, this person has been helping with the congestion of our road, talking about giving us a voice. You let her go. And I saw the two of them going back and forth. I was like this. Yeah. And before you knew it, the loud voices of the other person, they were doing parties, drowned the voice of the person saying, let her go. I had to park my car. They were even nice. They had to force the police station at Abuleado. This woman, nothing must happen to her. She has really tried. And I was able to park my car, trekked home, joined protests and trekked home. Who do I want to protest with? Look at me, I'm an allergic. I will not join you smoking and drinking and, enjoying. That's not how I understand. But that doesn't mean I don't understand the issues.
And the pains of the people.
The pains of the people.
Let me take this call. Etsu from Mina. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. I want to appreciate you people. I think this is a very nice issue. We appreciate your program. And I just want to chip in this issue of impact. For me, I just want to advise that if it's possible, we should suspend all the protests now. So many things is going on in this country. I can tell you, my sisters, people are not happy the way things are going, and every part of this country also, everybody feels marginalized. So we have to understand that it's all about protest. The way people are using this country in social media, let's forget, because if we didn't view this country, I think for even children, let's view this country for better, for even to so that our children will see it, because if we continue talking, nobody is happy in this country the way things are going. But again, let's not support issue of protest and it's just because our youth doesn't have anything doing. But nobody should go and talk about this NSAT and other things. We should try to do our best to do something that this country will bear, because all over the world is watching us, most especially in social media, my sister. We are abusing this country. We are talking bad about this Nigeria every day, which is very unfortunate. We are not happy. Thank you very much. I appreciate your program.
Thank you so much, Mr. Etsu. Let's take a short break. When we come back, the conversation continues. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we have a call on the line, Dami from Ikeja. Good morning, Dami.
I really want to appreciate CBC for having this kind of forum to talk about issues like this. I want to say, first of all, that the NSAS protest actually accomplished one thing from the aspect of the young people. For instance, I have my office in Okwebi, Ikeja. And before the answers, I knew how many times police stopped me, the staff will stop me along that road. Sometimes, I mean, they will have to check. There was a particular night around 10 p.m. where I had the speaker that I just bought was in the carton. And the police people insisted that I unbox that speaker. After they checked everything in my car, that they couldn't see anything, they needed to see what was inside. And I said, this is speaker. This is a gift to someone. I can't unbox it. If you unbox it, you have to go and pay for it. But they insisted, and they opened. I felt victimized. But I can say from last year after I'm even currently carrying dread, and I could carry dread because of
and you haven't been harassed?
I have never been stopped for the last 1 year anywhere within Lagos, anywhere in Kenya, by police.
Wow.
When I'm stopped, you just probably be, oh, okay, you find out something, how are you doing? And then I go, so from the young people, NSAS accomplished something. Forget, it accomplished police brutality reduced. Okay. From the government side, I don't see anything that they've done. The effort that we have seen in the police reform only because young people came out last year. And that's why I'm also happy that we came out again this year, no matter how little it is, because it will still also reinforce that we are still alive and we are still pressing what we asked for last year. So even if the police was going to come back to start brutalizing young people with the protest again today, that would...
Thank you so much, Dami. So we have a correspondent, a TVC correspondent live at the Lekki Tollgate right now, Miyen Akiri. Can we have him now?
I can hear you.
Good morning, Miyen.
I can hear you on your view.
So can you help us with the situation? What's going on there right now?
Well, protesters have come out in a large number to indeed exercise, their rights over what happened over 360 days ago. And at about 9:45 a.m. precisely, despite, some challenges of not wanting them to occupy the toll plaza, I can confirm that at about 9:45 a.m., exact spot where they do their protests last year, this time around, was where they were able to occupy. The police are on ground. It's been a difficult challenge for them trying to control the crowd. And as I speak, there is traffic, from the Lekki toll to other parts of the island, especially if you're coming from Victoria Island. But by and large, the situation earlier this morning was that about 4 persons were arrested by the police. Those who were unable to identify themselves. But gradually, the crowd grew bigger. And as we speak, hundreds of protesters are here to indeed exercise their fundamental human rights.
With the cars, I'm seeing a lot of cars parked on the protest grounds. Why are they using cars?
A lot of cars are parked. Most of them, are protesters. And what they agreed on earlier was that they will use their car on as a symbol of marking the 1-year anniversary of the SARS saga that happened at the Lekki Tollgate. And now they are saying because the SARS was born out of police brutality in the country, they want an end to this. And they are saying 1 year on, to a large extent to them, nothing much has changed. But then they've been able to indeed perform their rights here today, but not without some form of challenge, because they are not happy that a few number of people were arrested, and they are going with their car on. They're also working to indeed exercise, their right by saying they should indeed end SARS brutality or police brutality in the country.
So, Miyen, we nicknamed you Ori Your Miyen on the show because we know that you were there this time last year, and you were also there the day after, and all the things that happened. So we're happy that you are alive and well. We're happy that you have the confidence to go there. Well done. We need to say that. But, you experienced what happened last year, and you're seeing what is happening now. What would you say has changed in the language of those that you have engaged with on ground?
Nothing to a large extent, has changed. Nothing much, from those protesters, from the words they use, like Sorosoke. Now, what does Sorosoke mean to the youth? It's about being vocal, being able to speak, what they demand for. They want good governance, etc., which on the norm to them is their right. It's the right of the people, to ask questions. And this is what they are saying, that the Nigerian youth, want to have a voice and they want to be listened to. And that's what they've continued here at the Toll Plaza in Lekki. You made mention of the fact that, yes, I was here on the 21st of October. It was one experience I will not forget in a hurry. And yes, it's a live show, but then I must thank God, for his mercies. I must confirm, yes, I'm at Lekki Toll Plaza. Last year, you asked me a question if I saw guns, with this youth. Where I was last year, on the 21st, I saw guns with the youth, and it was very, very difficult. That was after what they alleged, at the Toll Plaza. But by and large, today, it's a free protest. We're not seeing any of the youths, with any harmful instrument or guns. Nothing of such has been seen. No one has been able to threaten anyone. Yes, earlier today, there were, some form of a bit of confrontation, between a sister station, that's colleagues, journalists precisely, and the Nigerian police force. But then those are issues that will be settled, much more later. But by and large, the youths have gathered here and they are trying to exercise their fundamental human rights, and they are asking questions, especially the demands from last year. The 5 demands, they've been talking about a year on.
Miyen, let me quickly throw in this question. I know that whenever we have the protest, there's always build-up of huge traffic, and there's lack of vehicular movements. And I can see that where you are, the cars are packed. How is that affecting the regular flow of traffic on that Lekki axis?
Well, unfortunately, while some youths have come out to exercise, their own rights, it is also affecting, others who actually have places to go. But the difference between what I've seen today and what happened last year is that there are 3 lanes on the other end, where vehicles who are moving into, Lekki can indeed pass. Unlike what happened last year, where all the roads, were shut. So at least, there's a different approach, this time. Let me just take a walk towards, some of the free zones at this stage. This time last year, we never had, a free road where, cars could move. But for those who are interested,
we can barely hear him.
They are in front of Toll Plaza, doing that. Can you hear me, Namoraya?
Thank you so much, Miyen Akiri. Thank you for that. I believe this conversation will still continue. We'll still have to hold government accountable. We'll still have to hold the people to appropriate behavior, and we'll keep having conversations and likely getting experts to come and help us on how we can do this better. We don't need experts, right? We need body cam.
We need records. We need things, not arms all the time.
Experts on the way forward, how to take these issues forward. Nima. On that note, let's go on a break. When we come back, we take the woman we love. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. On the Women We Love segment today, we have the founder and CEO of Strategic Solutions Consulting, LLC. For more than 10 years, she has designed, developed, and implemented new programs and ideas to help businesses succeed. She has also consulted internationally to provide fresh ideas and strategic guidance to companies to support their desired outcomes. Welcome with us, Nancy Taye Aragbaye.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're
I
welcome.
greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. So why did you decide to develop a program to empower Nigerian women? Why?
Yes.
What's your reason?
Number one, I am a Nigerian American, and I thought deeply about me as a Nigerian woman in America. What is my purpose here? It's not by chance. And so I thought about how can I connect my work specifically back to my country? And I realized that there was a desperate need for women to be in positions of leadership and also be empowered. Because if we're talking about truly bridging the wealth gap, bringing income to families, then women have to be in positions to be empowered, to generate income, to be in positions of leadership, and also make decisions, because we naturally have this multiplier effect. So that was my reason.
Awesome. So I'm all for women empowerment. Have a project that is, I've always had projects that we shall talk about would work with women, because I feel that we shape the society on many levels.
Yes.
And you've been here for a while. How has your experience? How has that experience been engaging with the Nigerian businesswoman? And what do you see as the resource that is lacking that you feel you're empowered to help them?
So that's a really great question. I like to tell people I've been an educator for many years, and I noticed a gap in the system in the U.S., but I also realized that the gap is even wider here in Nigeria. And so when I think about empowerment and I think about leadership, it's something that should actually be taught in our education system, but it's not. And so the need for leadership development is very critical. You may have a business, but do you know how to effectively lead your business? You may be in a position of leadership or a decision maker, but do you truly know what it means to serve? Do you have empathy for individuals? And that is a skill, and it's a skill that's missing, and that's why we end up seeing so many issues. We don't have understanding. And so for me, I think it's critical, and it's urgent. We need programs that will develop individuals to have those skill sets so they can lead effectively and make proper decisions.
So, you know, problems are local and solutions also should be. I appreciate that, you know, it has to be, your solutions that you have just proposed now are along educated lines, so it has to be taught and learned. But there are a plethora of women in Nigeria, particularly now, that are largely uneducated. They live in communities where they don't, the only way they know how, you know, it's almost like, you know, they're helpless. How do you then bring a solution of empowerment from your space to such women? How do you teach such women to do better? What exactly would you be doing, you know, to bring them out of poverty into wealth?
So I think that's a very great question. I'm glad you asked. When I look at the issue of empowerment, I look at it from a spectrum. And so there's different degrees of empowerment. You have those who aren't educated at all and who feel hopeless. And so for me, it's like, how do we work backwards? So how do I take women now who maybe have a business, who and maybe have just a little bit of hope, but they need some development? And so I start there, and then from there, it kind of just trickles down, and we start to reach backwards. But my ultimate vision is to have programs. Education is the key. Education is a reflection of the entire state. And so we have to think creatively. It's not just about math and science and reading. Exactly. How are you developing educational programs around leadership? What are our mentoring programs looking like? And so I've always been a person, we can't wait for change. We can't wait for government. You have to be the change. I am change. You are change. Together we are change. And so for me, how do we empower business leaders to come together to start designing these programs? Once we see that it works and that there's a solution, then we have our government that will say, okay, I see what they're doing. They can also support. And so I just know that as a business owner, as CEOs, we have power. We're the ones that have the power to create jobs. So we truly have to design our programs. And I think it starts in the private sector. And we create these educational programs and then it'll pick up.
That's awesome. So I know that you have empowered over so many women with over 40 million naira. And I'm asking myself, how did you get the funding for this? Who funds you? Who gives you that help?
That's a really great question. So I used to be a director of a nonprofit, and so fundraising, it's a beautiful thing. I say I don't ask for money. I ask for people to join a cause. Be a part of something powerful. And so the women that I brought from the diaspora to join me on this leadership retreat, they were a big part of the fundraising campaign. So we ran an individual giving campaign, and we were able to raise a significant amount of funds. Me personally, I also invested my own personal funds, but my vision came from God. And what I knew for sure is that I might be investing my own personal funds today, but I know once we create the results, then people will join the movement and they'll be able to support strategic solutions.
Awesome.
Okay, so I like the flow of the conversation. I also strongly feel that there are a lot of things that Nigerian women would achieve if they actually were limitless, because Nigerian women have done a whole lot, even with the lack of resources, because they are resourceful. And so if they are now given more resources to help them achieve much more, they would go far. When you say you're capturing business women and educating them to expand, because we had a short conversation before the show started, and you said, oh, Nigeria, you brought in people from diaspora to expand the business thoughts. What are your expansion, what are the testimonies you have so far from the trainings you've done? What are the kind of strategies they are working on, and the businesses, what are you feeling proud of so far?
Very short example. This week alone, so I had about 10 women from the diaspora. They told me that they were transformed. Transformed. And that's a powerful word. And so that is what I mean by empowerment. So my programs that I design are specifically to change the mind of an individual, pulling out that power within them. You have to know who you are. But I think sometimes with all of the day-to-day, the problems that are going on, you have a husband, you might have children, you actually don't sit and reflect on who you are.
True.
So I had the program, and we did some, we had some time to reflect. And just that testimony alone, I am transformed. I can't wait to go back so I can tap into my superpower. So that's what my programs are doing for women, unleashing the superpower that they have within them.
I like that. So are you location specific? Because Nigeria is big. You want to empower Nigerian business women. What locations are you looking at, or is it open to everybody in Nigeria?
So it's open, let me say that.
Okay.
I want to empower all of Nigeria. Okay. But we started specifically in Lagos just for logistical purposes, as far as the pitch competition and the women who came. But as far as my programs, a lot of what we'll be offering is virtual. So it's truly open to all of Nigeria. But again, we have to cap it at a certain amount of women for the leadership development. But over time, it will be for all of Nigeria.
Interesting conversation. But this is women we love, so let's talk about you.
Yeah.
I love your skin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you do have a beautiful skin.
Thank
The
you
tone is
so
just
much.
perfect.
So I love. So how do you keep it all together? What do you do? What's the routine?
I'll tell you the secret. No, I'm health conscious. I think it's important to watch what you eat. I think it's important. I drink so much water. The water is the secret. And my mother, she's on me all the time about making sure I wash my face.
All right. So we have an update from Miyen. Hello, Miyen. Are you there?
Well, a lot is happening right here, at the toll plaza. And the recent situation is the fact that the NSAS protesters, have their lawyers here. And one of them, just confirmed to me that new persons, have been arrested, about 2 of them. And from the arrests made, it was confirmed that one of them was with a cutlass, another was with an hammer, and the police have been able, to arrest, these persons. And because it seems thugs are trying to come into this situation, and then the police is trying to control the whole situation. So some form of negotiation are ongoing, between the lawyer of the protesters and also the Nigerian police force right here. So that's the update here. A few thugs trying to come in, bring in weapons, and that's very dangerous, for those who are protesting peacefully.
So what are the policemen, what are some of the measures the policemen are putting right now to ensure that we don't have, a lot more people infiltrate this protest?
Well, to a large extent, what they've been doing now is some form of negotiation, because when I arrived at the scene, especially the toll plaza here, part of the measures being put by the police was to ensure that the protesters don't occupy, the plaza and obstruct, the flow of vehicular movement. But unfortunately, that hasn't succeeded. As we speak, if you take a look at the other end, protesters have gathered in front of the toll plaza, which has also caused, traffic. But then for the only lane available, we just have one lane for those who are not protesting. So that has indeed obstructed the flow of movement. And when people try to protest in front of the camera, they come in a very aggressive manner. They want their voice to be heard. And that's a psychological challenge on the part of those who are trying to put, some form of measures right here. But then we're hoping that this will not get out of hand, because it's been spotted that 2 persons, one with an hammer, another with a cutlass, has been arrested, by the Nigerian police officials here.
Thank you so much, Miyen. We'll keep following up for more updates.
So, we have to follow this conversation with our guest, and they're saying, Omubete says they need to add ethics and principles in school curriculum of how to be independent from an early age, so that they can be more productive. And Good Beat says, he hopes you leave your contacts. I hope she leaves her contacts, so he's talking to you.
So I wanted to ask you about the pitch. I know there was a group of people that came, there was a pitch. What was the process about? What were the interesting ideas that you heard? And somebody, probably your next edition, what would it be about, so that they can join in? How can they get more information?
Yeah, so we had quite a few ideas. We had legal services that were offered at a very reduced cost. We had some health business and logistics as well. Well, a beautiful thing, and what I know for certain, is that love spreads, collaboration spreads, and empowerment spreads. And on Monday, women came for a competition, but you could see the collaboration and the unity that was present. And that made me happy. And not only did I offer services, but there were women in the crowd who also offered additional services to ensure that they were supported and got what they needed. And that's very important. As far as the next competition, we want to make sure that we test our programming. So the women that are currently in the program, we're going to do a 1-year tracking. Every 3 months, quarterly updates to make sure that it's not just me saying something. I believe in my program, but is it truly effective? So we'll track it quarterly. So I would say next year would be the opportunity to join the program. And my goal is to double it on my own. But if we get the proper sponsors and we get the proper support, I mean,
it will be massive.
It's limitless, right?
So what are some of the criteria that you deploy in choosing the businesses you empower?
So coachable. The woman has to be coachable. So when we looked at their CV and we looked at the reason why they wanted to be at the program, you can see elements of the why. Is it for service, or are you just trying to make money? For me, I've always said, as a business owner, if you chase money, you'll be chasing money forever. Yes. But if your vision and your idea is for impact...
Let that sink in. If you chase money, you'll be chasing money forever.
If you chase money, you'll be chasing money forever. That's a very true statement. If you chase impact, the income is inevitable. Impact is about solving a problem. When you solve someone's problem, they will continuously come to you. So we're able to assess the idea. And then also another key was scalability. Is your program or your business idea you being self-employed? I'm not interested in self-employment. I'm interested in building a movement. I'm interested in creating jobs. And so I'm able to see your business idea and can see the potential of how many people can you employ within 1 year. And so that was the criteria that we went through.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nancy Taye Aragwe, for coming on the show.
I appreciate it.
We would have loved to continue this conversation, but unfortunately we have to go back to NSA's issue and follow up on the updates. But let's take a break. When we come back, we go to Miyen. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still talking about the NSAS protest, and in the light of the new information that Miyen just gave to us, what are some of the things that we need to begin to look out for and probably advise the people around us on how to go about this?
It's inevitable that we have some hoodlums hijack this. It's usual, it's the norm. People who are criminal-minded or criminally inclined would always seize every opportunity they have, which is why we must have clear paths to take. It would be nice that those having the protest spot these people themselves and pull them out.
Pull them away.
And call them out and say, no, you're not part of it. Don't come and taint this whole laudable, genuine agenda that we've come out to push to government. So this is going to happen. But on my own part, I would love government also to be involved in the country that they are running. Leadership, unlike as it was inherited from our colonial masters, is not you as against the people. You are not above the people. If you want to have a democracy, you should have a democracy, which means that you're part of the people. The police brutality can be curbed even before their welfare is taken care of. Compel police officers now to have body cams, to have scanners. So you don't have to force me to open a delivery that has not been paid for because you want to check what is there. If you have a scanner that you carry around, it will tell immediately if there's illicit material in that, and then you can arrest me at the point of the crime. So we need
technology.
So if you fail as a police officer to wear your body cam and I report that you brutalized me, it is my word against you. Yes, you don't have a defense if you're on duty and you're not with your body cam. People should also resort to having cameras. Jimmy Disu talks about the cameras in his cars now, that he uses to help himself when he's driving. If you can afford it, put it. We're at a point where we must have consequences.
I don't think we have much time.
We don't?
So I'll just do like a final comment of what I feel is most important that we mustn't forget from this today, what today signifies. Today signifies the unity of young people. It signifies that young Nigerians have a voice, and if we can work together, we can make huge change. We can make the president talk. We can make the governor sit up, and we should deploy that power positively. Number two, our leaders should realize protest is not an attack. It's feedback. Address the issues, and we'll be in peace. Number three, can we ensure that we live in peace with one another and not allow things to generate? Like Nima suggested, if you see someone with a cutlass or with a gun, you yourself report them. Don't stop them because you cannot face it. But report that there's a man beside me, I think that he has a gun. So that we would purify our cause and not let it get tainted by criminal elements.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Tope. So for me, I think we've established that we have a voice and people hear us when we speak. But then we need to still find how best we can use our voice so that we do not give opportunities to people who are lurking in the shadows, waiting to take advantage and destroy our cause altogether. That's all we can take on the show today. We'll continue to monitor the NSAS protest and see where it goes from here. We'll come your way again tomorrow. Bye-bye now.